Oh my God. The Blue Origin space mission. I don't know about you, but I personally think it was the most bizarre thing I've seen lately. There are so many questions, and frankly, people aren't buying it. A lot of people think it was staged, and I think I do too. Now, a little bit about Blue Origin and this whole mission. If you didn't know, because I didn't, so Blue Origin is a private airspace company founded by Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Mission: to make space travel more accessible and eventually allow millions of people to live and work in space. More accessible for people. Oh, okay, that's the mission. Key achievements: they've launched several missions under the New Shepard program, which carries astronauts and payloads into suborbital space. Now, the recent Blue Origin space mission, launched on April 14th, 2025, was a notable suborbital flight featuring an all-female crew. This mission was organized by Lauren Sanchez, a licensed pilot, journalist, and fiancé of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. The flight aimed to highlight women's contributions to space exploration and inspire future generations. Which, I have a lot of thoughts about this, just as a lot of other people, because just based on their looks, I think that they put more focus on their looks than on the space mission. And I don't know what they were trying to achieve with this. Were they trying to highlight that women are supposed to look perfect in space? I don't know. The flight lasted approximately 11 minutes, reaching the Kármán, I'm not sure how to pronounce this line, the internationally recognized boundary of space. During the brief period of weightlessness, the crew experienced views of Earth and the Moon. Mission purpose: this mission was designed to celebrate women's achievements in various fields and to promote diversity in space exploration. Each crew member brought a unique background from science and journalism to entertainment and activism, symbolizing a broad spectrum of female accomplishments. Public reaction: while the mission was hailed by some as a milestone for gender representation in space, it also faced criticism, a lot of criticism. Critics argued that the flight was more of a publicity stunt than a scientific endeavor, questioning the environmental impact and the portrayal of the participants as astronauts.
Command engine start. 2, 1, ignition. Liftoff. New Shepard has cleared the tower.
Just free falling right there until those drogues came out.
And then next will be the main parachutes that get pulled out.
Hear that screaming inside the capsule?
And all 3 parachutes reefing, and they will slowly inflate, slowing the capsule to a nice, smooth 10, 15 miles an hour. They are cruising back home.
3 good parachutes.
And I tell you, Kristen, from having gone through all of the simulations, I have gone through all of the training. They put you in the capsule that simulates all of this, including the sounds, and when you hear the motors of the parachutes pop out, that is the best moment in flight.
And you will see a puff of smoke when it touches down, a puff of dust. That's normal.
A puff of dust, last milliseconds, air cushion that will kick up the dust. It's a very soft landing despite the sporty perception. There it is.
Very, very soft.
Congratulations and welcome back to Earth. Do status check.
Got it?
1, 2, 3. Taking up space!
Space, okay.
Tamir's in space.
It's okay. Leave Flynn up there. Flynn, bye.
Flynn, I
I
got you.
just can't with
I
this
got you, Flynn.
Daisy
Gotcha.
in front of a camera.
Proud of you, Flynn.
Flynn, can't get down.
Oh, the moon! You guys, I will have to tell
Okay.
you, look at the moon.
At least one of them said something
That's
about
amazing.
the view.
Wow, look at the blue line.
my gosh.
Oh my goddess!
Wow.
That's our pink moon.
It's upside down.
Now it's time to look out.
Oh my
space
gosh.
palace.
I find
Whoa,
this
whoa, whoa,
to be so
that's
weird.
amazing.
You know what bugs me and what gets me the most is that I believe they had like approximately 3 minutes like in the actual space. And they spent almost all of that time in front of cameras showing things and themselves, like being full glam, full face of makeup, hair done. If I just imagine for a second, if I went to space, I'd be glued to that window and trying to take in all of that view because it's incredible. It's mind-blowing. And they're just like floating around and then looking into the camera. It's just, it looks weird. Honestly, to me personally, it just looks weird. Okay, now we have a fragment of the Katy Perry's first interview.
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give, and how loved you are until the day you launch.
Doesn't it sound weird to you? Like, what the hell are you talking about? You never know how much you're loved until the day you launch? So I guess I will never know how much I'm loved because I'll never launch into space.
I think that you'll never know the amount of love that you have inside of you to give and to receive until the day you launch.
Guys, I don't know what's going on, what was going on in her head at that moment. Maybe she was just in shock or something. But what the hell is she talking about? And honestly, this sounds like a rehearsed speech or something. I don't know. It's just, it sounds a little... Woo-hoo. Listen, if I were to give an interview after I just came back from space, I'd be like, oh my goodness, that was unbelievable. I cannot believe I just did that. I saw the Earth from space. The Earth, the moon, space. It was black, it was dark, it was incredible. Like, but I don't think I'd say that you never know how much you're loved until the day you launch. But this whole mission is just bizarre. And I just don't think that now was the best time for it. It just feels like a distraction from what's really going on in the world.
Gail King, you are officially an astronaut. How do you feel?
I still can't accept that word, but I will say I can't even believe what I saw. When somebody calls this a ride, this was not a ride.
Okay.
What happened to us was not a ride. This was a bona fide friggin' flight. And our
If it
instructor,
really
we were so
happened.
well prepared. So every noise we heard, we knew. But the flight instructor said that I am her best success story. Why? Because she's never had somebody go through the course who's terrified of flying.
Okay.
Everybody who's gone through the course is somebody that it's been a lifelong dream. They wanted to do it. So she said, I'm her best success story. I'm so proud of me right now.
was just
I
gonna-
still
didn't wanna
can't
do
believe
it?
it. I still can't believe it.
Why did you do it then? It was very expensive. It was a very expensive mission. Why did you do it then?
The best part was when we got back in our seats after 0 G's, Katy sang "What a Wonderful World."
She did?
Isn't that nice?
Oh, come on.
She sang "What a Wonderful World." I see
Did you get
dreams.
self-start
Oh,
crying?
yes.
Oh.
Because we'd been asking her to sing all the time, and she wouldn't. And then, because everybody said, sing roar, sing fireworks. And she said, it's not about me. I wanted to talk about the world.
Wow.
I know, isn't that nice? You got to ask her about that.
That was the best part of this whole mission, Katy Perry singing. I don't know, maybe they had some training, but I personally hadn't heard anything about them or this mission prior to this mission happening and this whole story unfolding.
I don't like that people are calling it a ride. A ride, you never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they said, oh, he took a ride. We actually duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did.
But you
That's
guys
why
are
it's
not
called-
astronauts.
This particular capsule is called the New Shepard. We
You're space
duplicated
tourists.
that route. No one said he took that ride.
Yeah.
It's always referred to as a flight or a journey. So I feel that that's a little disrespectful to what the mission was and what the work that Blue Origin does. We use space technology all the time, whether it's your GPS, whether it's your satellite. That doesn't just happen. Every time a flight goes up, they get some type of information. Two of the astronauts, I still have a hard time calling myself an astronaut, but two of the astronauts on board, one is a rocket scientist, one is an astrophysicist activist, we're actually doing experiments. But every time one of those goes up, you get some information that can be used for something else. So
They did some kind of experiments?
I wish people
in
would
those
do
3
more
minutes?
due diligence.
And
And then
they were
my
in
question is,
space?
have y'all been to space? Have you been to space? Go to space or
No.
go to Blue Origin and see what they do and how they do, and
I
then come
haven't
back
been
and
to
say,
space.
this is a terrible thing. I've had so many girls and women and some guys who are saying, whoa, I saw what you did. I'm thinking, maybe I should reconsider. Maybe I could do this too. The young girls in particular. But it's not just the young girls. We're also encouraging, the boys look at it and see what women and young girls can do.
But we
So
can't.
I know there are cranky Yankees. I know
It's
there's
too
some
expensive
haters,
for us.
but I'm not going to let people steal my joy and steal the joy of what we did or what we accomplished that day. I'm just not going to let it in. I'm not. And these are some of my friends that are just throwing shade.
Well, that was really a significant event for them because, going into space, it's incredible. I would be thrilled. However, I personally think that they were space tourists and it really looked like a ride. When I was watching that footage when they were inside of that capsule in space, all they did was just floating around with a bunch of weird stuff that they would throw to see it float. And that's basically it. And apparently sang some songs. I don't know, I didn't see anyone did any experiments there and nobody talked about any experiments. All right, now it's time to listen to what people have to say about this mission.
Hey, hon.
Hello.
What are your thoughts on the Blue Origin spaceflight?
So, I had no clue Jeff Bezos had a rocket ship. That's number one. Number two, I had not heard about this until you told me. Number
Right.
three, I still can't believe it happened. But I'm a very skeptical person, and to me, it doesn't really add up. Not that it's overwhelming my curiosity at the moment, but I saw a bunch of pictures and a bunch of images. Some people are saying that there were no re-entry burns on the capsule, but that doesn't really surprise me given that it wasn't a transatmospheric flight. So what does seem odd is that there are some discrepancies between the shots from the inside and the outside that you showed me, and that the window shapes don't match up. That's number one. Also, the windows are huge, which typically wouldn't be the case in a space capsule. Like if you look at Odyssey space capsule, the windows are super tiny. And that's largely due to the pressure differential. So they went to 350-ish thousand feet, I think you told me, which is round about 100 kilometers, let's say, high, which is the mesosphere. and up there the pressure is pretty much nil, right? So it's 0.01 millibars ish, and the pressure down here on Earth is give or take 1,000 millibars, 1013
How does he know all
standard
this?
pressure, but so you're talking 100,000 times less up there. The pressure difference is huge. Then there was that gaffe that the door opened before Jeff Bezos was to open it. And that was their primary escape hatch, right? Which typically, again, Odyssey space hatch opens outward for emergency egress. So those are just a few things that don't really seem to add up. But I'm sure this is going to go on for quite some time. I just really don't believe anything until the absolute last bit of proof that it's true has come through. So,
Would you ever take a ride on the Blue Origin?
absolutely not. No, and I also saw the clip of the launch where it said, oh, it just, here it is, it's supersonic, and I mean, I couldn't see a bow wave or a shock wave, which you typically see.
Okay. That's a good point.
I've seen a live SpaceX launch from the air, and you can clearly see the bow wave of the rocket. So, I mean, it was just one thing after the other that you were showing me in this footage and these clips.
Just a lot of little
things.
things.
It didn't
Suspicious.
seem to add up, so no, I would never go near a rocket that Jeff Bezos was launching.
Thanks, Pilot
You're welcome.
I saw a video on TikTok where a girl asked ChatGPT about all these things that don't add up about this mission that people talk about, and ChatGPT allegedly explained everything. But I personally, I'm not buying it. It's just too, there's just too many little things that don't add up, and it's just too suspicious. And also I feel like, we should have seen them training. We should have heard people talk about this mission more, because it's really something significant, And I personally hadn't heard anything about this mission prior to this, and now everybody's talking about it. So that's why I'm saying that it feels like a distraction.
Something truly very special, including the weightlessness. You can't rehearse weightlessness. You can't practice that.
I don't know, Gail, but maybe this is why people are so pissed off that you called yourself an astronaut. And I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I just saw this clip and I can't. I fucking can't. What do you mean you can't rehearse or practice weightlessness?
I love this creator.
I'm the furthest thing from an aerospace engineer. I have no aspirations to go into space. I don't know the first thing about anything to do with NASA or space exploration at all. And even I know that yes, you can practice weightlessness. And all astronauts, before they go into space, practice weightlessness.
It's where we start floating the plane. And when you're inside and you cannot touch any of the walls, it's really...
Didn't they say that they had some training?
Going into space, practice weightlessness. Of course they do. And if you were an actual fucking astronaut, Gail, you would know that. That video was an example of something called a parabolic flight. These involve specifically modified planes flying in a series of arcs that create brief periods of weightlessness, simulating the conditions astronauts experience in space. Astronauts would know that, Gail. There's also something called neutral buoyancy training. Astronauts train in large, deep pools of water, wearing spacesuits and simulating spacework and other tasks they would perform in space. The water provides a sense of weightlessness, allowing them to practice maneuvers and work with equipment in a similar environment. Astronauts, they train in large, deep pools, Gail. Did you train in a large deep pool or in a parabolic flight? You sure didn't. Why? Because you're not an astronaut. You're not a fucking astronaut. Why is this pissing me off so much?
Yeah, I also know that astronauts, they train a lot. They train for years to go to space. And as I said, I haven't heard anything about them training, and I feel like we should have seen at least some footage of them training for this mission. I don't know the first thing about going to space, but I'm pretty sure that you're supposed to train for this. I don't know, maybe if you're a space tourist, you don't have to, but it feels like You have to, because you're literally being launched into space in a rocket. This feels like something you have to be prepared for, right?
We have more evidence that the all-woman space flight was actually faked or a hoax, or was it? And guys, make sure and click the plus sign. I'm gonna have more on this. Subscribe and sound off in the comments. Tell me what you think, what you see, and what you hear. But I wanna go over this because I did a video the other day detailing one of the biggest things that came out as to why people think this was fake, and now there's even more evidence. Check this out. So after the whole open door latch debacle, then allegedly on the live stream, this came up in the window. This is a plastic hand, and that is a dummy. And people said, well, hold on, this means they didn't go to space. What is this? Why is this in there? It was fake. However, there's more to the story. Allegedly, this wasn't actually taken from the space flight itself. This was from a different one, and that is a dummy because they have used test dummies. However, there are some other things. This is the capsule after they landed. And do you notice how it looks compared to the one where Elon went and saved those astronauts? Let's check it out. This is what that thing looked like. Look how destroyed it looks. Now what you're seeing, that's not necessarily dirt. I mean, some of it might be. That's burn marks from re-entry. That's from it coming back. So a lot of people are saying there's no way they could have gone to space because there were no burn marks on it. What's going on? But there may be more.
Okay.
So from my understanding, they didn't go up far enough in space to come back and have all those burn marks and have all of that debris. But on top of that, there is new technology and there are new things right now that they are inventing so that when they come back, they might not necessarily have all the same marks that some of them on there did.
Or so they say.
I'm not a scientist, I'm not an astronaut. I did do some digging and that's what some of the experts said. But now there are some things I just can't explain. I want you to look at all the beautiful women that were in space. And they were, guys. I'm not just gonna sit and knock them like some people. They are gorgeous women up there, and they look like they're having fun, which is great. But you notice something odd? Look at their faces. They are in full glam. Look at their hair. Their hair is perfect. And if you look, some people are saying it's not even really floating that much for the fact of where they are and where the gravity level should be. But do you see how perfect everybody looks? Here's what's odd. For what they went through, going through all these G's to go up in space, it's going to make you look like a mess. So did they bring makeup? Did they do touch-ups on their hair and their makeup? But I thought they only had 11 minutes in this process. So how did they go into this just looking perfect? Do they just look that way naturally all the time, no matter how many G's they go up in space? And this is another thing people have issues with.
Good point.
Do you see how perfectly and beautiful that shot is? Many people think this isn't real and this was just CGI. Now you'll see that it cuts to parts where you see Gayle King and her best friend Oprah's there and so emotional, upset, and some of the other people. But people are saying these were either actors or they were staged by these people. Now I can't quite corroborate any of this, but here's what I find interesting. Going up, we have no video footage from inside the capsule.
I was thinking the same thing.
When they get up to space, as we've seen, they were doing all kinds of acrobatics and had little toys and different things, and there were cameras all in it. We know there were cameras there and cameras in it, so why don't we actually see them going up? We also don't see them on the descent down. And many people think because of that, they didn't actually go. Why would they not, at the very least, release the footage so we can all see it?
Because people say that they were in a studio.
Some other things that don't make sense to people. Why weren't they wearing helmets on the way up? Or oxygen masks? There are all these different things that you are supposed to do upon takeoff and going up there that allegedly they didn't do at all. You're supposed to have extensive and intensive training to go up there. It is at least a 2-year training period, and to be considered an actual astronaut, you need 2 years at the minimum of training, as well as degrees in engineering and space and all of these different things. They had 2 days. In those 2 days, allegedly, they were basically told how to unbuckle their seatbelt, get in and out of their seats so they could take their photos, which doesn't make a ton of sense.
But that's insane.
Now, one maddening thing is that Gayle King has been on interviews getting really upset, going, for people who say this was just a ride, don't call it a ride, this was frivolous. We are astronauts. We are actually astronauts. And just kept saying this over and over, but no, you're not. because the astronaut classification would be that 2-year training, which you guys didn't do. That's like going on a plane and then claiming that you're a pilot as a passenger. You were a passenger on this alleged flight, if anything else. Then Gayle King said at one point that Katy Perry started singing What a Wonderful World to everybody. She said that we had asked her to sing, we kept saying, sing Firework or sing all these different songs, and she'd say, no, 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 no. It's not about me. It's about us and the journey in space. But apparently, they said after they were in 0 G's, she got back into her seat and started singing What a Wonderful World. I have questions about this. How did she sing What a Wonderful World? She got into her seat and they're dissenting. How did she do that? Because if they didn't have helmets on, I'm not sure that they even had any comms on for them to hear each other. I'm going to assume it's pretty loud coming in. And Katy is not necessarily, I'm going to say this kindly because I am a vocalist. She's not the best vocalist. She's an okay singer. She's an entertainer, not the best vocalist. Are you telling me that she is belting her voice louder than all of those engines for everybody to hear her upon re-entry when they don't have comms or their helmets or anything else? Does that make any sense to anybody? Now, this is kind of a funny one. A lot of people have commented on
all of this is just too weird.
When Gayle King comes out of the craft, she looks absolutely perfect and flawless, just like everybody else. There's not enough time in this video for me to respond to all this, but the audacity that this rich woman who's friends with Oprah wants to look at us and tell us we don't get to have any thoughts or opinions about this until we go. No, Gayle, that's the whole point why people are making fun of you guys. Nobody else could afford to do that. And there's another part that I'm going to touch on more if you guys want. I think there's an intuitive part that all of us knows is BS, because deep down inside of all of us, we know ETs exist. We know aliens exist. We know UFOs exist. We know we should all be flying around in our own UFOs, and we should all have free energy, anti-gravity energy devices. Why the billionaires like Jeff Bezos gatekeep all of this technology from us and send them up there to just tear us down. What do you guys think? Tell me your thoughts. Sound off in the comments. Make sure and subscribe.
Yeah, what do you guys think? I'm not buying it, not even for a second. All of this is just too weird. They don't have spacesuits. They look fabulous, don't get me wrong, in those suits. But those are not spacesuits, and they don't have helmets. And as she said, not even an oxygen mask. And their interviews, they are just too bizarre to listen to from people who just went to space and back. All of this is just like, it just feels staged. And apparently they had only 2 days of training. That's insane. Do you even realize how insane this sounds? Would you go to space if you had just 2 days of training? Would you risk it? Because it is very dangerous as far as I know.
Nobody's gonna convince me this actually happened. I refuse to believe that this rocket actually made it into space. Why does it look like a dick? Once I found out who was going on that mission, maybe this rocket would have been more convincing they would travel in. First of all, these are the suits that I would expect someone to be wearing when they go into outer space. Not these skin-tight suits, no helmet, and hairspray caked on so thick you could stop a bullet. Huh. Maybe that was their idea of a helmet. Also, when these things are coming back down to Earth, they're producing heat hotter than 1,000 suns. Heat so hot that if there's any type of failure in the insulation, that everybody inside will get vaporized. Someone please explain to me how this thing came back cleaner than it left. Anyway, Bezos, go get your girl. Oh. Also, how are they able to open this door from the inside? Quick, lady, use your body as a human shield. Nobody saw it. Everybody quiet on the set. Bezos, take your position. We're gonna have to do a retake. And action. Excellent work, Bezos. Now cut the cameras before these idiots mess up again.
Katy Perry has been getting a lot of hate the last couple days about the whole space thing, and I don't really think that's fair. I think we can do better, because let's also remember the time when she was a judge on American Idol and there was a 19-year-old contestant who had said he'd never even had his first kiss before and he was waiting for it to be special. And so Katy Perry took it upon herself to ask for a kiss on the cheek, and then at the last second turned her head so that she kissed him right on the mouth and completely took away his opportunity to choose who his first kiss was with. So let's make sure we hate her for all of the right reasons.
That's crazy. I mean, a first kiss with a celebrity is not that, doesn't sound that bad. However, what?
Am I the only one that caught this? Check this out. All right, so here is a picture of the pod that landed safely on Earth after the 11-minute space travel with the all-female astronauts. Clearly this hand looks very shiny, and to me it looks like a dummy. And if you can see, there is a visible clear white vertical stripe down the outfits that they were wearing, or according to this. Check this out. Huh. A picture of the group, and what do you know? No white stripe. Anywhere.
Well, I guess it was from testing. It wasn't a picture from the actual landing. But I have no idea. All of this is just so weird.
The windows. Look at the windows. Look how big they are. Look at the windows in there. These are not angled out like those windows.
People
They're
talk
also
about the
much
windows
smaller.
a lot.
Let's go back inside. Let's check it out. Look how small those windows are.
Smaller on the
and
inside.
they are not angled out. Yeah, look how small that window is.
I mean,
compared to
there's
the
like
actual
a layer of insulation or something.
Can I ask our brand new astronauts a question? Where's their partially pressurized suit and parachute pack? Where are their helmets? Where are their protective
They
gloves?
didn't need any of that.
I don't see any of this but a bunch of dolled up hair, which would have never had a helmet on it. They catapulted into space, rocketed into space with no protective gear on, going at speeds faster than an airplane? And you mean to tell me that all of this right here is real?
Well, they are professional astronauts.
Yeah, not buying it. Not at all. Because there's no way any of this is real. If you're really an astronaut, you would have all the protective gear and protective covering to make sure your body is shielded from the enormous pressure you're going to be going through going up into space. Not buying this.
Pressure. And what about radiation?
I found something really weird about the 11-minute trip to space that happened today. So if you didn't know, the first all-female crew went to space today for a couple minutes. It included people like Gayle King, Katy Perry, and Lauren Sanchez, the fiance of Jeff Bezos. And watching from the bottom was Oprah Winfrey, Kris Jenner, Khloe Kardashian, a lot of celebrities involved with this. First of all, I want to talk about the outfits and the symbol in particular on the outfits. At first, it looks like just a rocket or a pod, whatever it is. But when you flip it upside down, it looks really interesting, almost like a symbol that we've seen before. And I'm not saying that this is anything demonic or anything like that, but I mean, the similarities, it's hard to ignore. I don't know who created the logo, but the outfits themselves were designed by Lauren Sanchez, and she collabed with the co-founders of Monse, which is a really popular brand. But anyway, here is a map of the flight that they took. It's done by Blue Origin, owned by Jeff Bezos. It's his company. And here are the timestamps. You can see exactly how it went down. It looks like they were in space for about 2 minutes, or the edge of space for about 2 minutes. And when they came out and landed, everyone was super emotional. I mean, Katy Perry coming out and she is kissing the ground. And there was a whole live stream going on when this was happening. You can also take a look here at what she said.
I feel super connected to love. So connected to love. I think this experience has shown me you never know how much love is inside of you, like how much love you have to give and how loved you are until the day you launch.
Yeah, bizarre. But to be fair, about kissing the ground, you know, I remember I once went on an extreme ride, roller coaster ride, whatever that was. And when I came off that ride, I wanted to kiss the ground, honestly, because I was just so scared. So, I mean, I can justify this.
They expect us to believe that Katy Perry, Gayle King, Jeff Bezos' wife, and the other women blasted off to space in the tip of a penis rocket, had their 3 minutes of grounding, appreciating Mother Earth, singing songs, and connecting with love, and then return to Earth in a 65-mile free fall. Land on solid ground, not a water landing, but land on solid ground, and didn't even need a helmet? Didn't even wear helmets? Things that make you go, there was no fucking way that was real. Nope.
What she said
Doesn't anyone realize that Katy Perry's going to space this time is weird? Their capsule looks like a Coachella tent and they are not wearing professional aviation suits. They landed, but the ground showed no signs of being burned by the fuel. Then someone in the capsule opened the hatch from inside the capsule, and when the hatch opened, a lady standing next to Jeff Bezos ran over and said, "Don't do this." But it was too late. Yes, it was online. Then they still had to try, and found it somehow closed. So the guys on the live crew were like, Jeff Bezos is going to open the door from the outside, and then Jeff Bezos walks over there with a key or something, and then he's like opening the door, and we all see that the door opens from the inside, and that's impossible. You can't open the capsule from the inside, and it's pressurized, and it's closed from the outside, and it's locked and sealed, and then how did they open it? The people up there didn't open it. You mean they got blown up in space? They made their little spaceships and then they came back down probably like 700 miles an hour and hit the floor on one of them, so it was never sealed. It's really so weird.
I thought I had this clip somewhere around here of when they were opening the door and Jeff Bezos tripping and falling and all that, but I guess I don't. I cannot find it. So, but anyways, you can find it online. It's all over the internet. It's all over TikTok and YouTube, so you can definitely find it. And lastly, let's watch this lovely lady because she has some very good points.
Have y'all been to space? No, we haven't been to space, Gail King. Have you been to a grocery store lately? Folks are trying to buy eggs. Folks are trying to just get regular, everyday living expenses taken care of. Ain't nobody thinking about no space. Gail King and a group of other women, what are they calling themselves? Take 5? Take 6 space? Take up space? Take up space 6 went on an 11-minute Blue Origin space ride.
I don't like that people are calling it a ride.
Flight.
We actually duplicated the route that Alan Shepard did.
Whoop-de freaking do. Don't nobody care. Read the room, Gail. Oprah didn't get on that shit. Oprah was like, I will watch you from the ground. And Gail King's response to the backlash from the public saying, girl, what are you doing?
Have y'all been to space?
Have y'all been to space? No, we haven't. Have you seen the price of gas? We recognize that there's a separation between y'all and the rest of us. However, there's no need to rub it in our faces. We don't give a damn if you go to space. You're not a scientist, Gail. You are a personality on television. However, to ask,
have y'all been to space?
Have y'all been to space? Those are fighting words if you say it to the wrong person, Miss Gail King. Watch your mouth. That question wasn't inspiring. It was condescending. I think that it's worth talking about how out of touch these people are if they expect us to be inspired by this stunt. How they open the door from the inside? And then Bezos acted like he was opening it again with a crowbar. Come on now, come on. The entire mission lasted about 11 minutes. Staged. Just enough time to cross the, how you say that word? Kármán? Kármán.
Named after Hungarian-American engineer and physicist Theodor von Kármán, is commonly recognized as the boundary between Earth's atmosphere and outer space.
They floated weightlessly for a few seconds. Just a luxury ride. Let's talk about real astronauts versus space tourists.
I still have a hard time calling myself an astronaut. But
girl, you're not an astronaut. You're not an astronaut. Just because you find something buried in the backyard does not make you a paleontologist. You're going too far with the jokes. This was a corporate-sponsored, influencer-heavy spectacle. They might as well just had Coachella in the sky. And that's fine if you own it. The real issue here, the average American will never go to space. Not because they don't dream big, but because space tourism is a billionaire playground. And when you launch into the upper atmosphere and then come back talking down to people who are still fighting for clean air, clean water, healthcare, and fair wages, that's not bold, that's tone deaf. Let's not confuse ego trips with progress. You don't need to leave Earth to make an impact. The real work, the real leadership happens right here. Keep building, keep dreaming, and don't let anyone talk down to you from 60 miles up. Is that even considered space? Peace, y'all.
Wow, couldn't agree more with everything she said, actually. How true is this? We can't go to space not because we don't dream big, just because we can't afford it. Anyways, what do you think, guys? Are you buying it? Do you really think they went to space, like for real? Because yeah, I don't think so. I'm not falling for it.